everybody. Welcome to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Students. And oh boy, am I excited for this conversation. This is one of my favorite people and a great story. I want to introduce you all to Ruta Panomitros. She is a new member of the South Carolina Bar. Hi, Ruta. How are you?
Hi, Jackson. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. And, we were just talking before we went online that I hardly ever use your last name. And you said, hey, it's kind of like Ruta, like Cher. So, okay, we're going to go with
Mm-hmm.
just Ruta today.
Yep, it works.
um, so, congratulations.
Thank
This has
you.
got to be a really exciting time for you.
It is. There's so much going on. I can't even explain it, but it's been 2 years in the making, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. I'd like to go ahead and just let you kind of introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to the point of sitting for the uniform bar exam in South Carolina in February of 2017.
Okay. I graduated law school from DePaul 20 years ago, 19 years ago in 97. And I passed the bar there first try, went to Texas 6 months later, passed the bar there first try, had babies, had a family, kind of took care of them, wasn't in a position where I could wanted to leave them. So I didn't practice much. I just did a little bit here and there. Ended up practicing as they got older and having a practice in Texas. And then we had to relocate to North Carolina. And so on the day I bought a house, the attorney there asked me if I needed a job, and I became an independent contractor instantly. Um, and then, long story short, I'm with one of the partners that broke off, and he's let me be his assistant, but not licensed because I never got my North Carolina license, and decided I was going to try for the North Carolina bar. And I tried 3 times, and I reviewed and I studied, and nothing worked. And then I finally got comfortable with it, decided I'm not doing it anymore. I'm happy where I am. I don't need this, and I kind of made myself okay. And my partner looked at me and he's like, "You're too smart to just be practicing as an assistant." And I was just like, my whole world fell apart in a good and bad way. I was like, dang, I got to do this again. So I did some research, and it just happens that South Carolina, right on the border in Charlotte, and South Carolina is going for the UBE, First Administration 2017. And I started looking at it going, North Carolina's the essay parts were giving me some trouble, and it's not for lack of trying, but I did try, and I thought maybe the Universal Bar Exam was going to be my ticket. And so I called Jackson, I think the day of, in July of the bar exam, because that's exactly the time frame it was. And I was just destroyed because I'm like, I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know if I can study again. I don't know if I can give up everything again. I don't have the strength. I don't have the faith. I don't have the trust. And I just looked for something different than I'd done. I figured I didn't want to be, the person that kept trying the same thing and failing. I want to try something new, embrace it, go for it, put everything I had into it, and hope for the best and work for the best. So that's how I ended up with Jackson the day
That's
of the
cool.
bar.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember that conversation because you were pretty unnerved at that point.
Yeah.
And I would say you were discouraged, and
Hmm.
yet there was kind of this core of belief and feeling like, yeah, I really could do this. I just need to find the right vehicle to make it
Hmm.
work. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I really always thought I could do it. Every time I walked in that bar, I thought I had it. And I really, it, I've always had the ability to test well. I wasn't too concerned. It had been 20 years. I mean, there's some mileage on the body, but I thought I could do it. And I really thought I put my time in. And I did get destroyed because I don't think I've ever really failed at anything before. So it took some hits to the ego to get there. Anyway, I
Yeah,
really wanted to do it.
right. So when we talked that first time, we talked about the different course options that we offer at Celebration Bar Review. And you chose our premium level course, which is pretty high intensity and high touch. Can you talk a little bit about why you chose that course rather than one of the basic or the personal mentoring, the less intensive courses?
Well, like I said, I did want to go all the way in, and I knew what I'd been doing wasn't working. I didn't think it was necessarily me. I didn't think it was the bar review courses I had done. I think it was a combination, and I think I really recognized that I needed to change something completely and totally. If I was going to give myself a chance, something was wrong, and I needed help identifying that, and it was time for really serious help other than just trying to review and study on my own again. I needed to change something up, and I thought forcing me to have an accountability person. I didn't have anybody I could talk to every day. Not that I talk to Jackson every day, but I needed somebody that would call me out. And there's not a lot of people who have the guts to call me out very often.
I didn't know that.
So,
So now I'm scared. Okay. And by the way, my reputation really is not deserved in this regard. I am nowhere
Oh,
near as
it's
mean as.
totally deserved.
Oh, okay. You weren't supposed to say that. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. No, no, we'll keep it in. So you selected the premium course, which meant that you and I were going to have a lot of video chats, and we did. We had a lot of video conversations, but it also included some additional materials for you, and you used photo reading and the paraliminals and the holosync. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about those tools and how they fit into your bar review before we get into the actual bar itself. Can you
Okay.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I got the syllabus and I was reading it and I saw the photo reading and I tried to get through it and I found it really difficult to listen for an hour at a time to learn how to photo read because I couldn't identify how it was going to apply.
Mm-hmm.
So I fussed and I stressed and I didn't do it and then I got yelled at by somebody who remained unknown. And I finally just finished it and decided I never really understood after all 8 videos, but I would just do it. And that's what I did. I just started photo reading everything. And I'm like, tried to put the tangerine up there. And eventually I felt like I started really photo reading. But for the first couple of weeks, I totally faked it. I'm like, okay, I'm photo reading, don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying. And I think that's actually the right way to do it. I don't think you're ever going to feel like, hey, I know how to do this. So
I
I think
agree.
that's key.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so then holosync, I've never done hypnosis. I never doubted it, but I can't say I believed in it. I've never given myself the luxury of taking time out. I think I've got the mentality. I'm a mom, so I'm the one that everybody comes to, and I've never really just taken a break and saying I'm going to go nap for 45 minutes. In 20 years, I haven't done that. And so I started the holosync, and man, I like that. It was so nice because you just got to zone and you could just go out. And for me anyway, I would just zonk out. I'd 5 minutes in, I'd be out cold. And then I'd wake up completely refreshed, kind of like moving forward. And I don't think I was asleep, but that's what I told myself I was. And then moving on. And then that led right into paraliminals. And I began to look forward to that every day, twice a day, as like a gift to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the end result was that I was more calm. I didn't stress as much. I never really started believing I could do it until I started listening to those every day. And all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I can think positive. I can do this. And they helped a lot. They just gave me the mental break, sorted out my head, kicked the anxiety. I mean, it did so many things. I sound like a textbook, I'm being paid to advertise, but being the person that never thought it would work, it's kind of nice to find something that clicks and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
like it,
Yeah.
you know?
And one of the interesting things that happened for you, I thought, was that as we were going through the course, and this doesn't always happen to everyone, but there was a point where you kind of, the light switch went on. Photo reading started to kick in. The paraliminals were working to address some specific things for you that might have been barriers or blocks. You were doing the meditation. You were following the order of assignments and doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And you just caught fire. I mean,
Right.
it was just like, whoa, you got it, right? Is that sort of the feeling?
Yeah.
It was like, man, we just put this. By the way, Ruta drives a Tesla, and so I'm assuming this is the same concept. It was like, whoa, off the start line. But that's what it felt like, wasn't it, for you?
It was. I let go of any of the distrust, anger, feeling like, North Carolina. It did help that I was sitting in South Carolina and North Carolina more because I really don't want to be there. Never mind. It's all good, but it all kind of clicked that I could do it. And part of the hurdle I had was believing in myself, and I needed to get that back. And I just decided, I'm telling myself, I can do this. I'm doing this for me. This is what I want. This is what I need. And I'm going to believe. And I just kind of kept telling myself that every day with the help of the paraliminals and Jackson and everybody. It was just like, you can do this. I had a huge group of people, the village, that helped me get this through. And I just had to believe in myself first. And then everybody else was right there with me.
Yeah, let's talk a
So,
little bit about that village because you were also very active in our private Facebook group for our students. You were part of a group coaching that one of our staff members, Kelly, runs,
mm-hmm.
the Hangouts. And you guys gave yourselves a name, right? What did you call
Yeah, the
yourselves?
Slayers.
The
The
Slayers.
Slayers. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what that group coaching was like?
Yeah, I can say Joseph Morissette. I hope you're watching this. He is the one I think came up with the name. He's an inspiration to everybody. He is
Hmm.
the most positive person I think I've ever met. And the first 3 sessions, we couldn't hear him. So I kept coming back because I wanted to hear Joseph's voice. And I think I told him that finally, but it was hard. this has all been a revelation, and I'm not too active on Facebook. I should put pictures on there for my mom. And when I started talking to the Facebook and talking to the group and just noticing there's somebody else besides me out there that actually had a sympathetic ear, and I kind of didn't want to bother people around me all the time because it was just a total issue me. They don't care. I mean, they care, but they don't, because they don't know what I'm going through. And it was just kind of a nice outlet just to type something in there, have a rant, and have everybody like, oh my God, yeah. And then you'd move on. It was like getting a hug. And it was kind of nice. And it just meant every day I would like log into like a drug addict. So I'm like, okay, who's posting what? What's going on? And I'm not usually like that, but it was really kind of nice to have that. And it's really nice. We're still talking to this day because some of us passed, some of us did not. And I'm still there. I'm still logging in every day. And I just,
Yeah, and you know, and you're supporting other people, and this is one of the great things about our Facebook group is that our prior students who've been successful, a very large number of them stay in the group just for what you're doing, just to
mm-hmm,
be supportive, and it means everything, you know, I think
mm-hmm,
to existing students to have that. So that's one of the cool parts. Well, we've
yeah,
kind of talked around all the other things, but let's talk a little bit about the process of actually studying for the bar
okay,
and what that was like. You were working full time.
yeah.
You had all of these sort of the baggage you were carrying, and now you're starting to wade in. What was it like to get underway and actually start studying and sort of learn this different approach to writing and study?
It took a lot of just focus. I had to force myself. It did not come naturally in any way, shape, or form. I had to open myself. Jackson was really good about pinpointing it nicely. He really didn't make me cry. He may think he did, but he didn't. I think maybe once close. But he, he, he's listening and taking advice. Criticism is very valuable when you listen to it in the right way, and it's trying to make you a better person. And you kind of try to remind yourself, we're doing this to be better. We're not trying to get hurt here. We're not trying to, ruin somebody. We're trying to help them. And that's what Jackson does. And when you open it up to trying new things, like I said, I kept telling myself, well, my way didn't work, so I finally better learn somebody else's way because mine certainly did not.
Mhm.
And I think you have to embrace that. And so forcing yourself into just doing the time. Like I said, I faked the photo reading, but boy, it's so nice to get through an outline in 20 minutes as opposed to 6 hours. So it's like kind of a benefit going, okay, I could spend a ton of time, or I could try photo reading. So I would do it upside down. I would do it every other way. And then I would just work on it. And I took very, very few notes listening to the lectures. I think they call it activation. A lot of it made sense. And back to advertising, I have taken other big bar review courses very recently. And the material to me, while was saying the same things, was much more succinct and much more focused and taught me things I didn't know, which I can't figure out how I didn't know everything. But anyway, it just, they were more focused on what I kind of knew what I was trying to look for to study for the bar.
Mhm.
Having taken it, I kind of got a slant, not that it helped me in any way, but I did have an idea of what to kind of pay attention to.
Right.
Um, so just that helped a lot because they were more succinct in the photo reading. Making it shorter makes it more easy to do. So I would make myself do it every day, and then work during the day. I would try to do it in the morning, 45 minutes to an hour, because I had a new German Shepherd puppy that terrorized me. So he'd be up at the crack of dawn. So I'd be up at the crack of dawn. I'd actually try to study for a while, take advantage of that, because I'd be tired by the end of work. I'd do an hour at the end of the day, and then repeat. And then on weekends, I would just be like, nope, yeah, I'll go out. This is me. I'm studying. Um,
Right.
that's how I got through the time.
Yeah, and you were very dedicated. You were very consistent in the work that you were doing. I
Hmm.
think one of the things that happens, particularly for photo readers, is they gain perspective, they gain experience doing this. It starts to kick in, and you start to go, "Wow, I know this stuff. I don't know why I know it. I just know it."
Hmm.
That was your experience, wasn't it? That
Yes,
you
you
started
have
doing
to.
practice questions and getting them right, and saying, "Wow, how did that happen?"
Right. I know this. Why? I couldn't tell you, but okay, I'll just go with it. But that was part of the problem too. You don't, I didn't trust myself from having failed as often as I did. I would be like, okay, I can say this. I can't pack it up, but I can say it. And so I'd be hesitant. But then after a while and some guidance, you're like, well, I'm writing it down. I don't care if I can't show you what page it's on or where it came from, but guess what? I'm writing it down because it popped in my head and I'm going with it.
Right.
And then you just defend your point, and that helps a lot.
Right. And so your writing got much stronger substantively.
Hmm.
It also got more organized, more disciplined, right? As you
Oh
went
yeah.
from this sort of IRAC issue spotting into a more formalized writing style that made arguments and used the law in support. Was that a big adjustment for you?
Oh, it was huge because I actually got my essay exams that I didn't do so well on, and I refused to read the last one. I didn't pay for them to send me everything, but I had the 2 years previous, and I kept thinking to myself, okay, I wrote everything. I should have been fine with this, confident in failing, but still confident in what I have no idea. But I finally, after I hit the point with Jackson, I went back and read them. It's like, oh my God, diarrhea of the mouth. I had written everything under the sun, nothing focused. I mean, it's a bunch of just spit out stuff. I'm like, wow, that was terrible. And so the new method, the fact law application, it carried me through the essay here because I walk into the test and I have a million thoughts I want to write down. Spend 5 minutes organizing those thoughts. Put the pen to paper, literally, or on the computer. Couldn't think of a single thing to say. Wasted 5 minutes being like molasses at the exam, in the actual exam. So I just was like, okay, let's start making it up. Fact law application. And I answered every question. Probably didn't do as good as I could have or should have because of the molasses issue, but I passed. So I
Yeah.
did something right and it got me through. Even if I didn't answer it right, I did enough to pass that portion because you have to pass every portion. So
And that's the point. Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
just fell back on just the method. That's what
Right.
did it.
Right. So when you went to the exam, what
Hmm.
was that like for you emotionally coming back to take a test, even though it's a new location now, a new exam? What did that feel like to you?
I was excited. I actually, for the first time ever, got sleep before the exam and felt rested walking into it. The other previous ones, I was so stressed out that I was like strung out. I would lay there all night, heart pounding, nothing. And then for weeks before that, I wouldn't get much sleep. And this time, doing the paraliminals, I actually I fell asleep for hours, a couple hours at least each night for a test, which is the first ever. So I walked in going, I'm in good shape. I was really happy. I mean, I don't think I almost called you that morning going, wow, I'm actually awake. I'm not tired. I'm not stressed out. I freaked myself out a little bit. But more advertising, but it was really good for me. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it really was.
It was pretty funny. I recall something about you showing up in your Tesla to the exam hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
That
talk
was
about?
it. So I got the exam was across the street. So I picked the hotel. And for once, I didn't go cheap because I'm like, okay, if I'm doing this, I'm going to be comfortable. And there's actually an electric charging station in the parking garage to the main entrance of the hotel. So, of course, obnoxious me backs the Tesla and plugs it in. And there's all these bar students with their little one pagers of study exams. And they're all stressed out and they're all talking in the parking lot and everything. And they're all talking about this. And, you know, I can spot them. I'm an expert at that too because I've been there a few times. And they all just stop and they're like, "Oh, your car! It's so cool!" And of course, I'm the old lady. They're like, "She ain't sent for the exam. We're not talking about test her, but we'll talk about her car." And I walked in going, "I'm just going to talk about the car because I'm not one of you. I'm not stressing out about the exam. It's all about the Tesla today."
I
It
loved it.
worked.
I loved it. And folks, Ruta posts a picture of the Tesla right outside her hotel room, and it was like jaw dropping. Everyone's like, and that's when I knew you were going to pass
Yeah.
because you were enjoying the moment instead of
Right.
being terrified by it. And it
Yep.
seemed to me at that point that all the work you'd put in was really coming together. So you're in the exam. You have these 2 days of testing. And then you're waiting afterwards for results. What was that like during that wait period?
The first few weeks I was fine. I walked out thinking I'm okay, and then and then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh crap, I just failed that exam again. I mean, I totally convinced myself that I didn't do strong enough. The MBEs never failed to be different every time. I don't know how they manage that, but I'm pretty good at taking MBEs, all the practice ones, and they were a different, not format so much as they just felt different. So that kind of freaked me out. So I kept thinking about that, going, oh. So then I spent 2 days thinking I failed it, and decided it was a mental just hiccup. I'm like, no, you're not gonna think I passed. I picked it apart in my head. I followed, the FLA, and I started going back. I'm like, you know what? I think I did good. I think I passed it. Not sure. I'll wait to see it. I didn't tell anybody anything. I was just to myself going back and forth. So I'm like, I was good. So 4 weeks I was fine. I was like, we're good. And the last 2 weeks were stressful. When I started seeing Florida come out,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel it just that our group was heavy on some states, and it was a bad exam this year, and it really hit me as I'm like, oh my God, I
Right.
just didn't know anymore, and I felt terrible, and I wasn't dealing with it well. I was really a bear for the last week waiting. I was just like, Arr! So
And then results come out. And tell me about that.
That was so nice. I was at work and I had a controversy, thank God, about a wire transfer. And I knew the results were coming out at 4 o'clock. And so at 3 o'clock, the controversy hits. And that kept me till 3:45. And I walk into my office, and by then my heart's pounding. I felt like, I don't know, I was strung out on caffeine, is what it felt like. And I sat at my computer. I'm like, I can't do it. I don't want to sit here at work because I don't know what I'm going to do when I fail. I didn't know if I'm going to burst into tears, be used, I'm like, I'm at work. I've got 8 paralegals, another attorney here. I'm like, I don't want to be here. And they've helped me. So I sat at my desk and my phone buzzed, and it's my 17-year-old daughter, who's pretty awesome to this day for having done this. And she just texted me, guess what? And it was like 2 minutes to 4. Then her phone died. I'm like, what? But just knowing she sent me that guess what, and she wasn't supposed to be looking it up, I knew I'd passed. And I just called and thanked her. She's like, how did you know that? I'm like, because if you looked it up and I failed, you wouldn't have called me. And I went on, she talked me through how to do it on my computer, because that's why I didn't do it too, because I thought I'd be like so nervous I wouldn't find the stupid website it was posted on. So to this day, Sophia, thank you. Because it just
Awesome.
was like,
So your
woo!
daughter actually saw the results first. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty extraordinary moment, isn't it, to share with
It
your
was.
family?
It was awesome.
You were an inspiration to so many people in the course. Your participation in the Facebook group, but the fact that you were using and trying all these tools, and the growth and development that I saw, and I think our staff saw. I don't know that people cheered any louder on our team for anybody passing this year in any jurisdiction than they did for you, Ruta. This was a big, big win in your life. We felt it,
It
as,
was.
as sort of coaches and mentors and support folks. Um, what would you say? I know that there are going to be people watching this video who are going to be saying, yeah, well, but I've tried this and it didn't work, and I've done this and I failed, and I don't feel very good about how things are going. What would you say to that person?
I would say, if you want to do it, you don't stop until you've achieved it. If you want something, you don't give up. And for me, I had given up, and just that moment of like, you're too smart, like, oh. But you know what? I'm just proud of myself. I talked to my husband. I'm like, are you ready? I got permission from everybody first, because it's not something you do on your own. Um, I tried everything new because I knew the way I had done it before didn't work. And I had to get past the whole, like, had moments where, like, are these people crazy? They might be crazy. I might have just spent a fortune on crazy people that are like just taking my money and running away. I mean, you think that. I mean, you don't know, because you have to rely on others. And I finally just embraced it, that I'm going for it, regardless of whatever it is, putting everything I got into it. And that's what I did. And I said, just don't give up. I mean, 4 times at 50, I turned 50 in 2 weeks. So that'll tell you where I've been,
Happy birthday. It's a nice birthday present.
Yeah. So it's not giving up was key, and trying something new and embracing as much as I can, just because I knew my other ways hadn't worked.
Yeah.
So,
And I think the fact that you didn't try to find the path of least resistance, you didn't say, well, let me buy the bargain basement version. Let me just see if I can borrow some old books and some free
right.
questions and make it work. I mean, you really went and did what you needed to do to pass.
Hmm.
In retrospect, I'm assuming you think that was a good investment.
Absolutely. For me, it was perfect. I think I don't know if you'd call me a mentor. There's somebody that contacted me during studying and said, hey, can I ask you questions? Because I think he had that moment saying, hey, is Jackson crazy? Should I do this? So we ended up talking on the phone, and we're talking pretty much every day on Messenger. And he's taking a test in July.
Hmm.
And you don't have to go full hog to get it. I think some people will be just fine with basic and just
Hmm.
materials.
Hmm.
But for me, with my personality and not having somebody nearby that I talk to every day, it was good for accountability. And I had a schedule, and I had to do it, and I needed it. Everybody does not need it, but I did.
Yeah, you and I talked probably 20 or so times about your work.
Hmm.
So there was a lot of one-on-one writing conferences about performance tests, about essays, and
Hmm.
so on. Those sessions were challenging, I know, but ultimately pretty helpful, I think, to
Oh
get.
yeah,
Okay.
they would help me just pinpoint it so much. And it was so funny, because I still keep remembering reading my old essays, comparing after getting to that point with Jackson, and just being like, wow, I had a Jackson moment. I turned into him going, God, are you stupid? Why would everybody want to hear all that? So it blew my mind how much we'd gone through and how much I changed. And I didn't think I was capable of that, but that's
Yeah,
what it took.
I thought you were capable of it. I was sure you were capable of it. The fun part as a teacher is watching somebody come to realize their own strength and their own abilities.
Yeah.
That's certainly what we saw happening with you, and so it's an incredible opportunity to publicly acknowledge what you've done. I'm so delighted that you would share your story with other people and be part of this project where we interview people, because I know it makes a difference to other folks. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to share with anybody else? Have we covered the
Well,
important stuff here?
I touched on Ned and my messaging him, and I started using the Facebook to reach out with stupid questions. Like I didn't know anybody else asked, so I'd be like, okay, they said appropriate dress. Did they mean I have to wear a attorney suit, or do I just have to have clothing on my body, or because of the air conditioning? And it sounds dumb, but when you're stressing about every little thing and you're getting these letters saying you're conditionally approved to sit for it, but you have to be appropriately dressed, I didn't want to walk in not in a full hog suit if that's what I had to have. And the Facebook place was really good to put that out there, and they didn't make me feel stupid. They actually answered my questions, and people would always come up saying, "I got the same letter last year. Don't worry about it." And it helps. It's just nice to have people out there, and the staff you have, Jackson, they've been great. I mean, June and Kelly, and they've been so responsive, and it helped a lot. I felt like I did have my own. But going back to my mentoring, I'm so glad I'm talking to Ned, because I hope he thinks it too, and I think he does. I wish I'd had somebody every day, and you guys call it an accountability buddy, but I didn't really have anybody ask to do that. But it's just somebody to say, "Hey, how you feeling today? That's okay, move on," or good job, just something. It's just a little bit some private little world where you're not stressing out your family around you every day, but there's somebody there for you, and it's kind of very
Yeah,
comforting. I really encourage that if you have that.
yeah,
It really
yeah.
works.
And that's so generous of you to share your time and energy that way. And I know what really has happened is that we've kind of built this community in a fairly short period of time. Even though I've been teaching for many years, this Facebook
Mm-hmm.
community is fairly new to us, but it has grown enormously. And the strength of the folks in that community and their willingness to give back, like you have, has really been one of the hallmarks. So we're very grateful for that and excited about it.
Yeah, it's great.
Good. Well, listen, I'm so excited. I know you've got great things coming in your real estate practice. The ability to actually sign your own name to documents now has got to be
Yes.
pretty darn exciting for you. And this is the last bar, right? You're done now.
I'm done. I
You're done.
offered to sit for North Carolina again. They're like, "Why? You just opened up our practice." I'm like, "Okay, I'm good."
Good. Yeah, that works. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So fabulous. And again, congratulations from everybody on our staff, our team. I know people were rooting for you and just feeling great about what you accomplished. And I'm so proud of you and pleased for all of what you've been able to share. And for all of you in the audience, I just want you to know that there is a moment. I think, Ruta, at some point as we were talking during your studies, I said, can you imagine the moment when we do this interview? Right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
here it is, right? Dreams do come true, or something
It's
like
awesome.
that.
Yeah, it
So,
feels great.
yeah. So if you're out there in the audience, this could be you. This could be your day. So
Yeah.
I hope that for you. And I just want to thank all of you for watching and listening and participating in these interviews. And Ruta, best of luck to you and good wishes. And we'll stay in touch with you. And we're going to sign off for now. Thanks everybody for being with us today. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.